Not to like.
All right, so we are live on YouTube, and we are also going to be live on X, so that if you guys have questions, you can listen to either. So we'll see once people start joining there, then I'll get that going. But we are here with none other than Matt Holm, and we're here in Austin, Texas, getting really excited for Cybertruck. It feels like it's on the horizon. It feels like any day now we're gonna learn the date, and it's a very exciting time to be in Austin.
Whisper is it may not be this month, it may be November. I know there was talk about October. Definitely going to happen this year from the little tiny bit I know, but yeah, likely I'm guessing November. But coming up, I mean, it's a massive rollout, ramp up. It's going to be exciting. And even if you don't get an invite, I was going to say, so I run the Tesla Owners Club. We're going to be throwing an after party after the event. So whenever they announce, we are planning to throw an after party, probably at Luster Pearl or Clive Bar again, with about probably 1,000 people that could join. So whether you have an invite or not, come out to Austin and enjoy the buzz. I mean, I know at the Cyber Rodeo, we did an after party and it was a blast. Actually, we had a pre-party.
There was a TeslaCon.
Yes. And then more parties. And then for Investor Day,
right,
we also throw parties. So we throw good parties. It's kind of, it's kind of what we're known for.
Well, we already have a super chat asking, how much can the Cybertruck tow? Can it tow?
I have no idea. Don't ask me about specs. I'm not building these things.
We can pretty safely assume it can tow, though, because I think even my Model 3 could tow.
I mean, they have a picture of a Model X towing a 747. And if that's not a truck. So I'm assuming, because they talk, I think the confusing part is they talk about a tongue load. Okay. And then they talk about total towing. From what I've heard, the tongue load is something, I believe, I don't want to misquote, but 5,000 pounds on the tongue and 15,000 towing is what I had heard, but do not quote me. I'm just using my faulty memory to figure that out. But
right.
Something like that.
And I just want to make sure you guys can hear, because we're mic'd up for X, which it looks like not a lot of people are joined on X. So join us on X. But, I've been kind of covering this Elon Musk Industries changing Austin for a while now, and that is just continuing to evolve. So at last check-in, I think it was a few months ago, there's been developments, and obviously there's still a lot more people that are going to have to move here.
There's a ton of people. So it was interesting. Austin Business Journal had been quoting the original party line, which was 5,000 workers in the factory, which we already knew internally. I had heard closer to 28,000 people. So a big hiring ramp. And then within the last month, something came out in Austin Business Journal from a quote from an employee at Tesla that said it would be closer to 60,000 to be able to accommodate the ramp up for Cybertruck. So we're talking about double the numbers that I anticipated at 28,000 in the factory to be able to put this in perspective. They're in Del Valley. Del Valley is a city, an suburb of Austin, and that has 39,000 people. That's the town that the Cybertruck is being built in the factory, and the factory will be much larger than that just with the employees there. So it's a lot of people. They are currently bringing people in from Waco, from Bastrop, from Houston, from San Antonio. They're paying for them to come in on buses, and they work 12-hour shifts. So these people are barely getting home to sleep they're doing, I believe, 3 days on, 4 days off, 4 days on, 3 days off, like that. So instead of 3 8-hour shifts, they're there 12 hours.
Wow.
So you're cutting your shifts down to 2, your employees down to 2 instead of 3 on a 24-hour period. I understand the logistics of it, but I don't care who you are and how many days you have off in between. 12-hour days are long days.
Right.
So it's amazing. And you have that many employees running 24 hours a day. Like, it's incredible to watch what's out there. The traffic has been remarkable. They had horizontal parking, and now Elon is building a parking structure closer to the building, just because my daughter had actually worked at Tesla pre-college this last summer, and she would get up at 4:00 in the morning, drive 25 minutes there, which is pretty close.
Yeah.
Go park, 20,000th person in the parking lot, walk over to where the bus pickup was, pick up the bus, get ferried to the factory, walk all the way across the factory, almost an eighth of a mile wide, to get to her
Wow.
station to start pressing buttons on her cell production team at 5 minutes to 6 a.m. Work from 6 a.m. until 6 p.m. and then get home in traffic about 7.
Wow.
Go home, go to bed, do it up the next day. I mean, these are crazy long days. And with people, there's just not enough humans
Right.
that want to go work at the factory that are within a 25, 30 hour distance. And so attracting those positions, but most importantly, housing them, which is one of the things we'll talk about.
Right.
Where are people going to be housed?
And it's not just Giga, Texas either. We have Starling facility, which I actually drove the other night just to see it. And my gosh, it looks like it's almost complete. They've made so much progress. Yeah. I mean, it's looking a lot better. And so you have Starlink, you have Boring Company. There's
Neuralink is not as many folks. Starlink, I think, is about 1,000 people in that location on Watson Lane. You've got Boring Company, with numbers in the hundreds. But basically, you have all of Musk Industries moving this direction. If there's 60,000 people at the Gigafactory on ramp up to Cybertruck, and that's just one component of Elon's companies here, and you start adding all these companies and growing as Starlink grows and Boring Company, and as you require more people, I see within the next few years, maybe 2 to 4, Elon becomes the largest employer, not just in Central Texas, but in Texas.
Right.
Currently, the largest employer in Central Texas, meaning Greater Austin area and San Antonio, is HEB. They have 21,000 people. That's the people spraying down your vegetables and packaging your meat and making your Starbucks, whatever. And that's a grocery store. He's now will be beyond that soon.
Wow.
And 3x that by the time they're at full capacity.
Right.
So then the question is, where do these people go to? Because if you look at who is currently going to be in the factory, and they're making $20-something an hour, and they need transportation, they need the bus travel time, they need to be able to have something affordable. If you look at a cost of living, cost of rent that they would need, we're talking about $800 a month they can afford to pay in rent. You live in Austin.
Yeah.
Is $800 an affordable amount?
I'm paying close to $2,000, so no.
Right. It's a very challenging amount. And so housing is going to be a massive kind of pig in the python here. It happens to be, besides running the Tesla Owners Club, what I do, I work with Compass. I'm the #1 Compass agent in town. It's a big brokerage. I work with folks at any price point, but realistically, I also help quite a few Tesla employees, and my partner Anwar Beck and I. Our passion is really helping people find their place here in Austin, and whatever your price point. But it is exceedingly challenging for some of these people that are at the entry level working at Tesla, where they have to come together with 2, 3, 4 roommates to be able to make the numbers work. And so, we have some thoughts. There's some builders that are attempting to accommodate, I think, the housing, but I don't think the developers understand exactly how urgent it's going to be and how quickly, because they don't, it's kind of like the stock market and the traders. I don't think they understand what Tesla actually is. It's not a car company. This is like, 6 startups in one company. Yes. This is not, they try to compare Tesla to Mercedes. It's like, no, this is not just car manufacturing. Yes. That's going to be a component. It may not even be the largest component, right? By the time you kind of break down the other things that are being built. And so aside from Tesla, the housing, stretch that we have is being exacerbated because developers are stopping building right now, because the macro economy is saying, slow down on housing. It appears we have too much. Well, it's not a supply issue, because we're actually down to 1/3 of new homes being built compared to last year. It's that buyers are all sitting on their hands. They're literally just frozen because their buying power has shrunk so dramatically. They're now, I think 7.5% is now a 30-year fixed rate. And I get it. The payment is absurd compared to what it was 2 years ago. Now, my first house was in 1999, and we had a 7.5% rate, and that was down from 8.5% the year beforehand. So we have seen this, just not in 25 years.
Right.
So it's an interesting time. We need the housing. Developers are not putting it on the ground because the absorption rate is not there. By absorption, the people buying, the buyers are just all waiting for rates to go down to make it more affordable so they can afford to buy. So when the rates go down, if that's 24, 25, whatever it is, we'll have a shrunken supply, and we're going to have all the years of pent up demand. Last year, the 50,000 people that moved here have moved and are waiting.
Right.
This year, also slow spring and summer. Buyers are waiting. We're talking 50,000 people a year moving here for good jobs. Even if a quarter of them, a fifth of them, are turned into buyers, that's 10,000 buyers that were not satisfied last year, that aren't satisfied this year, that may get satisfied if rates come in and lower in the spring. And then you're going to have pent up demand from multiple years, all jumping in the market at the same time because rates are magically affordable, sucking up all the inventory. And then we're in worse inflationary period than there were before. It may not happen until 24. It may happen in 25, but it's going to be exacerbated by the ramp up of those 60,000 employees with Tesla. And so these are just the effects that it's a very simple supply and demand issue. It's an interesting time to be here.
Yeah. I didn't realize it was going to be up to 60,000. I thought it was 20,000 at Gigafactory.
It was 28,000 is what I was hearing.
Right.
And then I have the article somewhere in here, but it was on Austin Business Journal,
Right.
front page. Tesla employee says 60,000 workers at full ramp up for Cybertruck deliveries.
Okay.
So
well, and I have to ask, because Cybertruck, we've had spottings not just in California now, we're seeing them all over the country, Florida, Mexico. I still have not seen them driving around Austin, being shipped from here. So have you seen them yet in Austin?
We need to go camp out in front of the Gigafactory and just sit by the entrance, and then we'll see plenty of them.
Yeah.
But no, I have not seen any. But we're on the west side over here at my office, and this is where I live as well.
Right.
And it's all the production's happening on the east side.
Right.
So I think you're going to see them on the probably superchargers along the 130 and 35 corridor, because they're doing the testing on charging and range and durability and all that stuff. So I've had people ask me like, wait, why don't you have a Cybertruck yet? Or how come you don't know anybody? And all the ones you're seeing right now are just owned by Tesla, as just testing it out to make sure they've got a deliverable product that's going to be reliable.
I was going to say, all of those are likely Tesla employees that have them?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. There have been 0 deliveries that I have heard anything about that I've seen that are not manufacturer plates.
So when did you put in your reservation?
So that's a funny story. So you guys may know Anwar Beck, my partner in crime. He and I work together in real estate. He and I run the Tesla Owners Club. And we were at the unveil for the Cybertruck. And the Cybertruck literally rolls out, smoke's going out. And we're in the front row screaming and excited. And that thing rolls out. And Anwar Beck, tells the same story. And he's like, man, I looked around. Everyone's got a quizzical look on their face. Everyone's like, what is this horrible truck? He's pranking us. This is a fake truck. He's going to bring out something that looks like a real truck. And in the meantime, I'm ordering 2, because I'm like, no, I want the H1 Hummer that ate a Mars rover. Like, that's badass. I want that. And so I was in the front row, ordered, and then actually forgot I ordered another one late at night after we'd had a few more drinks and we're hanging out. Elon throws a great party. Thank you, Elon. The rollouts are always fun. The unveils are always fun. So I was an early person. Now, of course, anyone I guess that watched online could have ordered. I mean, I could be number 12 or I could be number 1200 or who knows. I don't know if everyone ordered at the same time, but it was definitely the first couple minutes. Right. But
you've been waiting for a while.
Just a little bit.
You've got to be really
I'm so excited. I mean, well, Elon forced me to buy a Plaid Model S because I had to wait so long. I was not planning on it. I was like, I'm going to stay in my performance Model 3 until the Cybertruck comes. I don't want another sedan. And then finally, I'm like, oh yeah, 0 to 60 in 1.99 seconds. I need that in my life. So, so now I have. If anyone wants a matte black wrapped Plaid Model S, I'll give you a good price, because when I get my Cybertruck, that's all I'm going to drive. I cannot wait. It's gonna be so cool.
And I have to shout out Bimmer Geezer for the $50 super chat. That's very generous. He says that I am his supercharger. I think that's a compliment.
So cool.
And of course, if you have any questions on X, we do have a request actually. Should we take a question right now?
Sure.
Oh, he just request again because it went away. We do have some more questions kind of about, the real estate situation here. Jim wants to know, how far does one have to travel to get affordable housing? An hour?
Right. So that's actually a great question. I'm working with investors and owner occupieds right now. And I was saying people are waiting for rates to come down from 7.5%. So we're going to take this answer. And I apologize if you just wanted to hear about, Tesla stuff, but I'll get to the housing part, which is a key component to the viability of Tesla here. We have to have affordable housing.
Right.
So actually, there are homes within 15 minutes of Tesla that are available to investors. They had locked off the investors from buying because there was such a shortage and homeowners didn't have an opportunity. And then when rates shot up, everyone's paused. You're still getting homes in the upper 200s, low 300s. They're smaller, 1,200 square foot homes, but the builders are starting to sell those. Now, what I've been able to do with the builders, and this is a unique period. So the builders, especially the nationally publicly traded ones, they have their end of fiscal year coming up either between September and December. Some run calendar year, some run sometime before the end of the year, which is smart because in December people aren't out buying homes. So you want to front load that. So in the next couple of months, we have those builders trying to make their numbers to make their CEOs happy, get their Christmas bonuses. And so they're working on pricing that is very robust. In addition to pricing that I can get in the upper 2s, 3s close by, and in other areas, 3s and 4s, then I go get the price, and then I've been able to negotiate, okay, we want 5 points. So if you had let's use $500,000 house, 5 points is 5%. So they're giving $25,000 in this case. I've got a builder, Saratoga Homes. I just got somebody a 2,800 square foot house in Georgetown, straight shoot down to Giga, Texas from 130, 2,800 square feet, 4-bedroom office, 3.5 bath, 0.15 acre lot for $528,000 with over $25,000 towards closing costs. Par rate was 7.5. We bought it down. We're using the builder's money back down to 5.99%.
Wow.
So all these people are sitting around waiting for 5.99% or 5%. And instead, what you can do is use the negotiating we're able to do to go in and not just get, I think, a great price, but also buy down the rate. And so that makes it powerful. So instead of waiting around, you can take advantage of the lower price because they want to seasonally push their stuff out the door by end of fiscal, or get contracts in place and use their money that we get thrown in as freebies for us to buy down the interest rate. So you get the low interest rate or lower and the price point that you want. So that's sort of my secret tip on this time of year. In general, it's a slower time between end of October and end of December. So great time in general to buy anything. If someone has to cash out by the end of the year for tax purposes, they have more pressure and there's just fewer showings. And so on resale, whatever it is, it's a great time. But with the builders, man, there's blood in the water. I'm having fun with my job. And so if I was a Tesla employee and I could, qualify with a couple friends, rent each room for $800, right? Now I've got $3,200 with a 4-bedroom. I could buy a house and be able to cover the payment with the rents coming in with my other, fellow Tesla employees. So there's a number of ways to house hack, use the leverage we have currently on pricing to be able to put it towards making the closing costs paid for and getting lower rate. So there's a bunch of stuff right now that we have, kind of tools in our arsenal to make it possible to get affordable or more affordable housing.
So Green Tech Fusion says Georgetown is the best area to buy if working at Tesla. Also, they are 100% renewable energy town. I don't know if that's true.
Which one?
Georgetown.
I think he's thinking about Whisper Valley, which is about 7 minutes north of.
Heard of that?
Yeah, so they have geothermal heating and cooling, solar panels on every house, and I've got a client buying something there at $475 for 1,800 square feet. It's 6.5, 7 minutes to the front of Giga, Texas, and you have almost no utility bill. So geothermal heating and cooling.
Wow.
They take water tubes, they go down 400 feet underground, and they circulate instead of Freon circling through your cooling system. 68 degree temperature water does. Same effect that the Freon does running through your system, cooling the air, but water does it. And so once it's expensive to put in place, once it's there, it makes very low cost on cooling, which is especially important in Texas because it's 900 degrees in the summer for 5 months out of the year. We're in hell, That's basically what it is. And so if you can lower your electric bill, that's the amazing part. And it's so close to Tesla. So there's so many little pockets I could tell you about, but great input. Georgetown also blowing up. It's one of the fastest growing cities in the entire country, if not the fastest. So super, super interesting time to be in Austin and work on getting deals.
Well, and Daryl's strategy is, or he says most of his neighbors have moved to Georgetown, but they rent their homes in Zilker.
They rent their homes in Zilker. Sorry, say that again. Which one's this?
Moved to Georgetown, most of his neighbors, but they maybe rent out their homes.
Maybe they're renting because they want to be in Zilker. So yeah, a lot of people would rather live in a small square footage, closer in, and be able to walk, especially, if you're, in your 20s and 30s and you want to go out and have fun. Would you rather live in micro living super close in, or a house further out? And so that's sort of maybe the trade-off he's talking about. Because close in town, you're not getting a house for anything close to an affordable number. I mean, I was showing a house yesterday that was 2,300 square feet, and it had a pool very close in off South Congress, and it had just been reduced from 3 million to 2.4 million, which is actually a good deal at $1,000 a square foot for new construction.
Wow.
And then that's the crazy part. Then you go 35 minutes north in Georgetown, and you're buying 2,800 square feet, 500 square feet bigger for 528, and they're throwing cash at you to make the rate better.
Right.
Like it's 35 minutes out. So, Austin's really interesting. It's incredibly expensive when you're close in, and then you have these little cliffs that you drop off of, and it gets very affordable as you move further out. And there's certain little pockets within, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, etc., where you have these value pockets that are just significantly better than the next ring road or the next, stop. And so, you just have to know what's important to you, right? The same thing that's good for a 25-year-old factory worker is not going to be the same as a mid-level manager with kids, right? So you have to think about, what am I looking for in my neighborhood? How important is it to be central, closer to work, closer to schools, etc.?
Well, even before I moved here, I'd heard that Austin is so unaffordable, and it's actually not as bad as I was expecting, and I'm not that far from downtown, so but I'm renting, right? So maybe that's a different,
first step Model 3, next step house.
Yes.
Come on.
yes I got the Model 3, and so I feel like we tend to talk about real estate on the channel, but is there anything else? I mean, you're very deep into Tesla.
Yes. Well, I'd like the Tesla stock to bounce a little bit. I've got some options I bought a few years ago that may expire worthless. So can we please deliver the Cybertruck and see if we see a little bounce from excited folks? I would love to see the stock reflect what I think we all know to be true. If we're all super fans, we understand all the companies within Tesla that aren't given credit for.
Right.
I mean, just NVIDIA has a market cap bigger than Tesla. And Tesla, has plans that people have talked about for making a chip. If I know Elon, his chips will kick NVIDIA's butt.
Right.
He could just be a chip manufacturer and have a bigger market share than NVIDIA. So you look at all these things that are in the works, all the different, the AI software being developed by FSD that could then go into a lawnmower or whatever you want to be self-driving or robotics.
Right.
Then the robot itself, all these different pieces that really should be companies on their own that you get when you have Tesla that the market has not put a value on. So it's shocking to me still how the market values Tesla. So I'd love to see that pop. But I've also got most of my money in long-term stocks, and I don't have to worry about the option stuff. So lots of interesting stuff going on, lots of growth. The growth corridor tends to start at Giga, Texas for Elon and move east, so out towards Bastrop. So that 71 corridor on the east side is where a lot of his companies are settling and where a lot of the growth patterns and ability for putting in larger subdivisions is possible.
Right.
So it's sort of a natural fit if you're kind of banking on, Elon's growth and following the growth patterns, go east.
Right.
And so different mantra than what we used to, say, the east side was underdeveloped and Elon is going to have a massive impact there. As Anwar Beck likes to say, the east is the beast. Yeah. Now that Elon's there, right? He's like, go heavy on the east side. And, and I can't disagree. There's a lot of stuff coming.
Well, and I've driven out there a few times now. It is, about a 30-minute drive from here. So it would be more convenient for people to be able to live out there. I mean, the Starlink facility is literally right across the street from the Boring Company facility. And we heard this rumor that maybe Elon would be just getting into the housing business himself and building some workforce housing. Do we know anything more about that? I think we were talking about that back in February before I broke my leg, so it's been a while.
I don't think they have anything to announce yet. I have
Yeah.
heard rumor and rumors of rumor that are fairly substantiated from people working within commercial space that there's large chunks of land being bought up by LLCs owned by Musk Industries. What do you need that much land for? It could be for future industrial expansion, but the kind of square footage or kind of acreage they're looking at is really more useful, likely for housing. So
Right.
I think what could happen is Elon could be dragged into the housing game as well. I mean, he's solving all the rest of our problems for the world,
Right.
and, on the planet and on other planets. If the builders and developers can't get their butts in gear to supply an affordable housing product, he's already owns the roofs and the AC and heating systems that we have in our cars that are efficient. How much harder it is to build the house in between.
Right.
And if he can deliver it in some kind of factory built, which is what he's famous for, thinking first principles, what kind of housing do you need? He may reinvent affordable housing for all of his factory workers. So,
right.
It's hard to explain to these developers. And I know quite a few people that are in the development space, and they're just averse to risk. And they don't understand the product that he's looking for the way that, if I was building something, I'd be looking at ensuite baths and a little living space and desk area in rooms. So you could have a roommate situation, but everyone can go to their little capsule room, and then one smaller common area where you could share meals and have a TV. But the focus would be on almost ensuite living. So I see a build to rent product that could be very robust, that would accommodate micro living within a roommate situation that then carpools to the factory. That would be the type of housing I would suggest that I think could be, you could fill up very quickly when you can rent these self-sustaining rooms for $800. So
right. Well, and one of the solutions for this, housing crisis could be 3D printed homes.
Could be.
And it could be something we see out here in Texas. That's, there's.
Well, they're already here in Texas.
Right. There are several companies. There's obviously the modular development, but Icon is doing some interesting stuff. I think they just had a special on
60 Minutes.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
They have contracts with a lot of people. They are the darling of the market. They really like them. They're great guys. I actually know the folks running Icon. They're really, really great folks. They are going to be doing some cool stuff.
Right.
3D printed houses printed out of concrete. Once you've got the machine, the cost of manufacturing just dwindles. If you haven't seen the 60 Minutes, you should probably put a link if you want to.
Yeah.
But really fascinating. It's 15 minutes. It was on 60 Minutes last Sunday. CEO is a fascinating guy, just a really good person. Head of biz dev, they just have a solid team. And for sure, my question mark was always, can you print out of concrete and have it be affordable? And it's like everything. If you can do it at scale,
right.
if you can own some of the cost and own the supply chain to keep that concrete cost fixed instead of having it go with markets, kind of the same way Elon, is building from, lithium ion batteries up. If you own the whole supply chain, you can control affordability.
Well, Jim says problem is 3D printed homes do not yet save money. It's a cool idea, but not saving money yet.
That's exactly what I just said.
Yeah.
So that's exactly it. If they come up with a new product that is cheaper than concrete,
right.
Which had I took a bid on a 3,500 square foot driveway at my house, and it was actually just as affordable to hand put in beautiful pavers, which used to be a much more expensive custom option. And for like $1.50 or $2 more per square foot, I had guys for 3 weeks installing this amazing driveway that I love, and so that's how expensive concrete's gotten. Jeez. So that's the pig and the python they have, right? How do you make affordable housing when the product at the core is expensive?
Right.
You control that cost. It's really where the cost is. But I went up to Georgetown and got a preview behind the scenes of what they're building up there, because they have a neighborhood in conjunction with Lennar, and they've got 3D printed houses. They have, I can't remember if it's 150 homes, but they had 5,000 pre-orders for those homes. And let's just say because I heard people say, well, who'd want to live in a concrete house? It's a bunker, yada, yada, yada. It's like, well, when you actually see it, it's really cool. It's got a really interesting feel. And of course, you could go in and, lath and plaster over the kind of poured concrete pieces, or you could keep it an architectural feature. So I found it a compelling housing option. And then watching this big 3D printer machine just go around in circles, going layer by layer, building this house. It's crazy.
Right.
It's so amazing to watch.
Housing, and then I recently went to Relativity Space where they're 3D printing rockets. So it is crazy. Cool. Ross wants to know, what is the typical age demographic for Tesla employees?
20s. Well, so 3/4 of the people in the factory are factory workers. About a quarter are your kind of management and engineers and all that good stuff. So 3/4 are, probably late teens to late 20s that are just, they need folks there for quality control to, press the buttons and get things moving along. So hate the word unskilled labor, but, my daughter, who's 19, who hadn't had a job before, when she was 18, got a job there and within a couple of weeks had it down and was really enjoying it, actually. Surprisingly, I didn't expect her to come home saying she enjoyed her job of 12 hours a day, but she enjoyed the camaraderie, and she said it was a lot of folks kind of her age and everyone was really cool. And so I'm seeing a lot of young folks.
Right, yeah. Right. And I just want to make sure, we have a couple people listening on X, not very many, but if you guys have any questions for Matt, whether they're about Tesla or the Austin real estate market, you're just a jack of all trades, really.
I have my finger in a few pies.
Yeah, you do.
Let's see. I got a music event space. If you want to come rent a music event space, I've got that. A little bit in a restaurant. Development programs.
Speaking of a restaurant, I have my eyes on 6th and Guadalupe Guadalupe. I'm sorry, it's Guadalupe. Yeah. Pronounced Guadalupe here in Austin.
Verbena.
Got to get used to that.
Yeah.
Kimball's restaurant, the kitchen.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm going to an opening of a restaurant that's in next to his Verbena, I think. I just actually RSVP.
When is it?
Let me see.
Because I want to go.
Okay, well, you can be my +1.
Yes.
Hang on, I'll tell you. Yes. Let me see. A friend of mine, Farah, just sent me an invite.
But I drove past it yesterday, and it is clear it is not done yet.
No, hang on.
Construction is not done.
October 19th, Verbena at 612 West 6th Street. I think that's the one. Well, the only reason I know this is she is actually moving into the 6th in Guadalupe and sent this to me.
Okay.
And so it's sponsored by them. This may not be in the exact location, but it's sponsored by the developer of that building. So now,
is this not going to be that largest building in Austin that they're building?
It's going to be large. It's not the largest. The largest is coming on Waterline.
Okay.
That's the one that's on Rainey Street, or
right.
Actually one street over from Rainey Street.
Okay.
That'll be over 1,000 feet tall, which is remarkable.
It's like Dubai size, right?
It's extremely tall. So it's going to be a combination of luxury apartments, office, hospitality, hotel, and then down at the front of it, when it slopes down towards the creek, and Waller Creek, it's going to be the One Resort. I don't know if you've heard of the One Resort. It's kind of how do we describe it? Think about like an eco-friendly W resort hotel. Mm-hmm. So I went and stayed in one in Nashville, and it was really cool. They had, like, instead of plastic water bottles, that are going to have these phthalates and, disrupt your system, they have a filtered water tap and glass bottles for you to fill to take with you. They have a little sign that said, if you have clothes that you're not going to wear again or that you're going to leave behind, leave them in this bag and we'll donate them to a charity in the area. So very environmentally conscious, still has a spa, kind of very, it's eco-friendly, mm-hmm. I guess, luxury space. Right. Really interesting space. Great concept. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. But,
right.
Yeah.
But I bring up because Kimball Musk is opening a 4th location, I believe, of his kitchen, this restaurant called The Kitchen. Correct?
I don't know the name. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's called The Kitchen.
Yeah, I know he's building it. I know it's going to be in the bottom of 6th and Guadalupe.
Right.
Not Guadalupe. If you're from Austin, it's Guadalupe.
Well, yeah, and there's a couple places like that. Manchac. We have a road called Menchaca.
Menchaca that you call Manchac if you're from there. Yeah.
I don't understand that one either. But hey, I mean,
Austinisms.
I got to play by Austin's rules because I live here now. John Hogan says, I'm hoping to meet people with Tesla. Well, one way to do that is to come to, we've met how many people through these events? I mean, I met you through Tesla. Like, it's just
Sandy Monroe, Stephen Mark Ryan,
right?
Dan Markham's a buddy of mine.
Rob Maurer.
Rob Maurer's a great dude. Like, all these people end up coming to our because everyone's in town for these events,
right?
And then we throw the after party, and then we invite some Tesla employees, some I guess what influencers in the space, right? You're obviously coming. Like
yes,
it's really interesting group. Other Tesla Owners Club, John Stringer from the Silicon Valley one, who did the Tesla takeover. So we'll have a party. It'll be a blast. And that was been the fun part, is there's so much emotion and excitement around all the stuff that Elon does.
Right.
And we just want to let the steam off the kettle and let people come and enjoy the party and see some of people that they know from the space. And essentially we all just hang out and geek out on all things Musk, and have a drink if you want to, and hang out and talk.
Well, I think that's one of the nice things, is that, even if you don't get an invite, because sometimes those invites can be quite hard to get, there are surrounding events in Austin that you can come see. And I mean, you're welcome to drive past Giga, Texas. You're going to see it when you fly in. You can take our tour and we can show you the Starlink facility. We can show you the Boring Company. And it's kind of that same idea of, SpaceX, where they're building rockets on the side of the road. You can see this stuff pretty well for yourself.
You can. Yes. The tour,
yes.
The LE tour, the LE tour. You guys, if you, and this is like part of my job that I absolutely love. I love bringing people who've never been to Austin, or if you've been and stayed a few times, but don't really have your understanding of it. An hour and a half, maybe 2 hours in the car. If you reach out, ask for the LE tour, that you heard it here. We will get you booked. Let us know when you're coming in. And there's nothing like seeing Austin, because it's a really small-ish city. Right. And in an hour and a half, we can show you everything kind of Elon related, downtown, growth patterns, egress, ingress, where highways are coming in, where Google and Amazon and Apple and all these areas that kind of tell the story of Austin, that you can hear and you can read about. Right. But then actually being here to see the locations and go, oh, I get why they chose this location. And, it's a pretty fascinating and very, what people ask me all the time, what's so special about Austin? And I'm like, well, we don't have a beach. The weather's too hot, but the architecture is okay, but it's not like amazing. Right. But it's easy. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. It's an easy place to hang out with people. It's an easy place to, meet people, to do business, to get around. I mean, traffic's not wonderful, but it's nothing like LA. And it's just, I don't know, people are warm. People hold the door for you when you're, walking in the building. But there's also so much energy and opportunities 100%. And like ideas and, startups, and just, it's a fresh kind of cool, city. People are very generous. I mean, it's amazing. Most of the stuff that I do outside of real estate, it was a client who's like, man, I love the way that you worked with me in this transaction. This is the space I play in. Do you want to play a little bit in it? Do you want some shares here for advisory? Do you want to be a partner in this event space? Do you want to be a partner in this restaurant? Do you want to? And so it's been kind of fun how that sort of happens organically. Right. I don't think that happens in most cities. I don't think people just invite you to play in their playground organically just because they like you. You know, like that's not the way stuff works. At least not where I grew up in California. That was, people kind of have their little bit of the pie and they want to protect it, versus here people are they're just generous, I think, in a lot of ways. And they want to share the cool stuff they're doing, not to brag about it, but to be like, hey, this is cool. You should like do something related to this, and it's just an ethos that I hope people, when they move here, continue to cultivate. Well, I'm curious, because some of you guys are watching. How many of you guys have been to Austin? Leave me a comment and let me know, because my first trip to Austin, you and Anwar Beck showed me around, and I took, the Matt tour and kind of sold me on it. I was like, what am I doing living in Utah? And then I moved to Oregon for a little bit, and I was like, I got to be in Texas. I keep flying to Texas. This is where all the action is, Starship, etc. Yes. Let's see. So if you guys have been here, I'm curious what you think of it. It's definitely, I've been here for over 6 months now, which is pretty crazy. And it was hotter this summer than I anticipated. I was gone for most of the summer. Yes. It was too hot. Yes. It was ridiculous. My gosh. But it is, it does feel like home, and a place that I'm really glad is my hub, because I like to travel too. And I mean, well, we're in the festival season now. So last weekend, ACL, Austin City Limits Festival. This weekend, a second weekend of it. Also an affordable, $300 gets you a wristband for 3 days, 125 bands. Like I went to Australia and visited a cousin, and there was a 2-day festival for $900 Australian, and so it's pretty affordable. compared to Coachella and all that stuff. Then next weekend we have Formula One in town. And then, at the track we have MotoGP and Australian V8s, and there's always something going on, and it's all accessible and pretty easy. Tons of concerts, obviously. But this time of year, the weather's perfect. This is when people come in town, and they're like, oh, man, what are people talking about weather? This is amazing.
Right.
And it's like, well, there's a window when it's amazing. Like shoulder seasons and winter's not too rough usually. And then summer comes again.
And it's not just, they do call it, I think, the live music capital of the world, right?
Yeah.
But more than that, lately, comedy is just...
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, my director of ops was just buying some tickets to the Comedy Mothership in a couple of weeks. So if you haven't come out and seen Joe Rogan's new place, it's a badass club. And so I was there the other night in a room, in a booth at the back of this room with maybe 30 people in the smaller room there. And I saw Ron White came out and played, Tom Segura, Brian Simpson, Kim Condon, and then like 4 or 5 other people I didn't know, and they were hilarious. $50 tickets.
Right.
They check your ID to make sure you're not scalping them, so you have to order them on the Moon Tower because the tickets are very affordable. And they didn't tell me who was playing. They don't tell you. But if you go, the trick is, I think, go in like midweek, because if you listen to the Joe Rogan show at all, he has like every third person's like a comedian.
Right.
So if they're in town, guess where they're doing a pop-up show? You might be there and see Dave Chappelle in a room of 30 people, or these people that sell at arenas who happen to be in town getting interviewed that week by Joe. And so it's an amazing spot. It's so cool.
Right. No, I love it. And it's, if you can't get into the Comedy Mothership because they sell out a lot, there are plenty of comedy clubs here.
Yeah,
so
it's burgeoning group.
Wait,
didn't you go on Kill Tony?
I did.
I still haven't seen the video. Was that like crazy? I love Kill Tony.
Oh yeah, it was crazy. It was very crazy. It's safe to say I've put a pause on my comedy career.
Oh my God, I would have been so embarrassed. I'm turning red right now just thinking about it.
Oh yeah.
Was it horrible?
They're pretty brutal.
Yeah.
They are there to entertain.
Yeah, and just tear you apart.
Entertain they will.
God.
But you know what? I feel pretty brave for doing it.
Good for you. That's awesome.
But there's a lot of this guy says I found you from Kill Tony. But yes, there are awesome. A lot of comedy opportunities and a lot of comedians also moving here, just
tons,
packing up and either living in a van or because it doesn't pay anything when you're just starting out. So
it eventually pays something. There's a few comedians here that are pretty famous that have bought some expensive real estate.
Right.
I know a little bit about. So it's every level of comedy, but it really is creating a comedy scene for people that are interested in comedy to be able to come in, and he's really creating a kind of a growth area for open mic people and it's really cool. I love the ethos of that. So we'll be live capital for music and comedy.
Right. Absolutely. And the tech boom here is not just limited to Tesla.
No. There's millions of square feet being built. So Apple has a 1 million square foot campus up near the Domain. They're finishing a 3 million square foot addition for roughly 12,000 employees. The difference is it used to be back office HR, and now they're moving, they will be moving software engineer teams here. So it's a bit of a tech light to tech heavy. So interesting time to see the expansion of them. Amazon is building 2 towers at the Domain. Google has almost 1 million square feet of vertical space that they're finished on Cesar Chavez. Oracle, of course, moved here already. All of Musk Industries. So it's, the Elon effect is going to be massive, and I think rival the Bezos and the Gates effect in Seattle, if not surpass it. But that's one part of the story.
Right. And we're not, we're still feeling the effects, and we're not, it's still the beginning, let's say.
Oh, it is 100% the beginning.
Yeah.
Like the expansion, just based on the land acquisitions that I've heard whisper of that Elon's got, he's got a lot of room to really expand in an unlimited capacity. Unlike, being based in Hawthorne in LA or in the Bay Area, you have certain limitations just based on the price of land. If you go east, you can buy thousands of acres, still for 30 or 40,000 an acre, which is very reasonable when you consider the density he's able to, build with. He's got almost a mile long by 1/8 of a mile wide, and is able to get 60,000 people in that space. That's amazing.
Okay, are you ready for a spicy question?
Uh-oh.
Okay.
What's that?
In caps, When do you expect the real estate market to really crash?
To really crash. Okay, so I'm going to give you my 2 cents on this.
Yes.
I don't know, you guys can disagree with me or not. That's fine. I've been doing this 15 years. I've sold over $1.5 billion in real estate. I've seen up and down markets and sideways markets. I got in the business in 2008 when it was a multiple year collapse,
Yes.
and managed to do quite well. And the people that I invested with at that point have done exceptionally well. And, you know, this goes back to Warren Buffett's, and I can't remember the exact quote, but you buy when there's fear and you sell when there's exuberance. And it's the opposite of what most human beings do. Most human beings, there's fear and they sell everything in a panic sell. And then they buy when everyone else is bandwagoning on the way up, right? And that's just the nature. So instead of buy low, sell high, they buy high and sell low. And this happens, and the market knows that. And so this is what we're seeing right now, where you have sideline people waiting for rates to go down and saying, well, when rates go down, we've hit bottom and then I can jump back in. But there's going to be such an influx when rates adjust that I think it's going to be a light switch kind of flip.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if rates stay high, 24 will be a shit show as well. So I can't speak to when that's going to happen. Some people have theorized that we're in an election year next year, and that the current, regime in office is going to want to get reelected, and they're going to pull influence if they can with the Fed to try to stabilize or lower rates to get reelected, especially if there's an anything but Trump idea, if he's their competition. If they go into an election in November with the economy still and people losing jobs, tell me there's a chance they're going to get reelected. So I know the Fed is not supposed to be tied to either political side, but that's one person's thought that, is smarter than me, that thinks we'll see rates drop because it's an election year. In my experience with multiple election years, it's a crapshoot, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of times there's fear until we find out what the election results are.
Right.
And if that combines with rates being high still, if we're still at a 7.5%, we got a year to go. But I'll give an example about why whatever happens next year, the next window between October and end of December now could theoretically be the best time, the bottom to buy. And it's because you're doing two things. You have another year of flat interest, no absorption, timed with the time of year when you can't get anyone to look at your properties. It's just dead. And so sellers, if you're the one person coming in on, I've gotten some of the best deals going out on Thanksgiving Day with a client or Christmas Day.
Wow.
And writing an offer, and people, you're like the salvation. They're like, you're a Christmas miracle. Yeah. I'll take 50% off because I got to get it sold. If they just waited until the next February, March, when the buy cycle comes through, they would have gotten 10, 15, 20% more.
Right.
So for sellers that are either getting bad advice or just have to sell, it's a perfect time of year. So I'll give an example. I bought something last year at 44% off original ask price from the beginning of the year. The market had by that time adjusted about 25%. So I got almost twice as much value off because that person had to sell. They had purchased something on a bridge loan in March. The rates then shot up and they had to sell within 6 months. Right. So they lowered, and I got this amazing deal. To this day, another year, another slower time, I still have the lowest price per square foot in that building. So what I shop with my clients, I'm shopping for not the average, if it's come down 25%, I'm looking for 50% off. That way, if the market adjusts or continue to go down, we're so ahead of the curve that the market can do that and we're still ahead on our equity position. And so I love bargains. Like I can't help it. And so I love getting those kind of deals and putting them together. And that's really, the builders are out there this time of year. They have tons of incentive to give the farm away until their end of fiscal year. And then they raise the prices back up because they got another 12 months to make their numbers.
Right.
So this time of year is great for new construction, resale, desperate sellers that have to cash out by the end of the year. There's a whole reason why really middle to end of October through end of December is my favorite time. And anecdotally, we have quite a few rental properties. We've bought all of our properties and land at this time of year between like Halloween and Christmas. And that's true every year.
Sorry, we have another super chat from Bimmer Geezer saying, Ellie, next time Elon calls you, tell him I have 15 years of Hummer off-roading and I will gladly break a Cybertruck. I think it's going to be
I'm going to break a Cybertruck.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone jokes around. Do not ever buy a car. So I'm telling everyone, don't buy a car from me. It's I use my Tesla very well. I leave my car in plaid mode at every green light. I floor it. I've burned through 2 sets of tires, 29,000 miles. About every 10,000, everything's bald. But you can't hurt the car. That's the beautiful part about Teslas.
Yeah.
So when I get the Cybertruck, which is hopefully an early delivery, knock on wood, I'll have some videos of me hitting some jumps, going off-roading, doing donuts. Like, I'm going to beat the crap out of that thing. I can't wait.
I was going to say, someone earlier asked if I'm getting a Cybertruck. I have not put in an order because the list is, I don't know, almost 2 million reservations long. And so I'm hoping that you'll let me, check yours out.
You will be the first person.
There
How about that?
Okay.
I'll probably, you guys heard it here. She'll be the first person to drive it besides me.
Oh, heck yeah. Heck yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, if you're trying to plan around this event, and the weird thing too, I don't know if they're going to do invites or if it's just this new system of you have to get enough points, enough credits, because it's a reward in the Tesla store. What's up with that? I've never seen that. Usually it's like either shareholders only and it's a lottery system, or it's invites only and maybe a +1, maybe not. This year, we've seen it as an award. It's 30,000 credits that you have to have. And so how do you get those credits? You make Tesla referrals. I've sold 3 Teslas, but, I use some of those credits for supercharging miles. And now I'm stuck at 18,000 credits and I don't have enough. And I don't even know if it's an award anymore here in the Tesla store.
I think they pulled the award off. You can probably check because I think they've hit the capacity of the awards, unless they opened up some more.
Right. I think it might be gone too.
Damn it to hell.
So the question is,
how are we going to get you an invite?
I'm sure I can get it. I'm sure I can get in. I live
I don't
in
have
Austin.
An invite. Yeah, I mean, come on.
We have to get in.
We'll pull some strings.
I mean, it's like, I'm so glad that I didn't miss Cyber Rodeo because I flew here, no ticket, no ticket, which was, looking hopeless. And I checked my unread DMs and an engineer there was kind enough to say, you want to be my +1? So, they're kind of hard to get into, but yeah, we're hearing no more invites. So, we may have to pull some strings.
I think there'll be some rollouts to folks that are supporters.
Right. I'm okay, but sounds like I can, wait a little bit longer because it'd be nice to know,
Well, I don't think the rollout's happening this month based on it being this far along in October.
Right.
If it's traditionally it's usually last minute, but a couple of weeks so people can get flights and hotels.
Yeah,
right? There's usually some kind of lead time. So I would anticipate when they announce it'll be maybe a 1 week lead time, but likely at least 2 to accommodate that. But it's not I don't think it's going to be a lot of time. But I mean, I don't know anything. I mean, I'm theorizing based on past performance, right? Who knows if that's what they're going to do again.
Are you surprised it's taken this long?
No, I'm still waiting on my Founder Series 2020 Roadster. Now, I don't have the garage space for it, so I'm going to have to definitely, now that I got the S and my wife's X and the Cybertruck and my daughter's SUV, I gotta build a bigger boat. But yeah, but I'm still waiting on the 2020 Roadster. I'm not complaining. I can't wait for it to come. But that Elon had said that's the cherry on top. So Elon has incredibly ambitious expectations on timelines for incredibly complex, first principles. Like, I mean, who's ever seen anything that's like the Cybertruck? So does it surprise me it's taken longer? No. Would you rather wait longer and be impressed by the product? Or would you rather, have it be a shit show on delivery? Like you want to have hopefully a product that you like.
Right.
So I had an early Founder Series Model X, and I got to say, the fit and finish were great, and it was mostly hand built. So I mean, I've had some of the early products, so I'm not worried about it. Some people are like, oh, why don't you wait on this one and get the bugs worked out? And I'm like, I kind of just want one of the first ones.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Excited.
I'm wondering how how common it will be. Will we see it, once it's rolled out, are they going to be everywhere?
There's 2 million pre-orders. That's a lot of cars. It's going to be every third car within like a year. So, I think if people are patient, it's going to become ubiquitous.
But does it ruin its uniqueness and its excitement if it's everywhere?
Of course it does.
Yeah.
Of course it does. When you have 2 million of them and so commonplace.
I mean, Starbucks is everywhere and people still
like Starbucks. I think it'll be, you'll have that drivetrain. Realistically, the Cybertruck's cool. It looks great. but I imagine like a utility, like a Suburban where you can fit 8 people.
Right.
Like my complaint was at the unveil, they had the center console that came up and you could fit 3 butts in the front, like get your girl to slide up next to you, because it was like a bench seat. I thought that was awesome.
Right.
Because then all of a sudden you got a 6-seater.
Right.
And it looks like they're not going to have that. So it's just a 5-seater. I think they need like a big SUV option without the slanted back and just do some massive transporter / camping wagon, right? Like a little cab over camping wagon on that thing that's comes straight from Tesla,
right?
With like, oh my God, that'd be awesome. But I'm a big Volkswagen bus fan. I've had 3 Volkswagen buses in my life.
Wow.
Lived in Europe in one for a year back in the 90s. Like I'm huge on that self-contained gadgety use of all the spaces.
Wow.
And I can't imagine anybody that would build a better one than Elon. So yeah.
Well, and that's what Jim is asking. Anyone know when the Cybertruck reveal party will happen? Well, we're thinking maybe next month, but we don't know.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
We'll see. Right at the holiday time, so none of us can go. How about that?
I know. I was gonna say, I hope it's selfishly, I hope it works with my.
I was really
plans.
hoping October. But
yeah.
What are you gonna do?
I don't know. Yeah. So I am actually going to Starbase this weekend.
Awesome.
So you guys look forward to that content. I have been waiting for the next launch, and I think we're going to still keep waiting. So I want to go back to Starbase. I'll be doing that, and then I'm going to be watching the annular solar eclipse from San Antonio.
Yes, 12:03 on Saturday.
Yes,
12:03 Central Time.
So that's going to be a very spectacular sight and something that's very rare. And then I'm going on a special assignment tomorrow that you will see tomorrow. It is going to be very interesting. So just hopefully you're able to join me. But it's
I haven't heard about this.
Exclusive.
Oh, I did hear about this.
You did hear
about it.
I did hear about
it. Oh, this is very cool. You guys, teaser, massive teaser.
How about
There's a VIP.
There's 2 VIPs.
2 VIPs.
Two very.
One potentially VIP.
Yes.
Potentially.
2 very high profile people that I will be meeting with to cover a very important topic. So.
Very cool.
Yeah, I hope you guys can join me. There's a little, hopefully that's enough.
Oh, and I know we talked up the tour. If you guys are ever in Austin, truly, like mi casa is su casa. So my direct phone number is 512-769-1695. By far, text message or phone call is the way I like to communicate. So that's my direct line. Feel free to text me.
Say it again.
Sorry, 512-769-1695. And just say, hey, I heard about you on Ellie. We'd love a tour. I'll be in town, whatever. I'll just block out an hour and I'll cruise you around. And I mean, it's just what I like to do. I love showing people Austin. Like it brings me joy. So
well, you're very passionate.
Ask for the Ellie tour. Like there's so much cool stuff here. And like when I started the Tesla Owners Club 10 years ago and met Elon and kind of went down the rabbit hole and then working in real estate, I never thought they'd all come together.
Yeah.
But like the impact he's going to have over the next 10 years is mind-blowing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he said, we're going to be the biggest boomtown in 50 years, mostly because of him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like it's other companies, but if you understand the Elon story and the companies he's making, and you understand that we're the epicenter for all that, our expansion is barely starting compared to what that is going to be. So it's so much fun. There's so many little pockets where he's doing cool stuff, where cool stuff is coming. So come out to Austin, come check it out. Do not come in the summer. I will warn you. It's 195 degrees between like July and September, early September, right? And that's kind of the worst of it.
Yeah.
They say it's like 2 or 3 months of heat. It's more like 4.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I'm moved to Austin. Just go away in the summer.
But I've heard that this was one of the worst summers.
Oh, the worst
we've had
on recorded in history.
Oh.
It was brutal. We got here in 2008. It was brutal. 11 was brutal. 14 was brutal. This was worse than all of those.
Yeah.
This was horrible. So a portent of more, warming of the planet. Man, I hope not, because I don't want to become Phoenix.
Right. Man.
That would be ungodly. But yeah, I was yeah. My wife's from northern Spain. We were over there in the summer, much cooler climes.
Right.
I kept looking at the forecast, like, yep. Another day, no rain, 105, 106, 107. Like, well, glad I'm here. We're in a 75.
Right.
So a lot of people escape in the summer here. If you have ability to work remote, great time to visit somewhere cool. So yeah, it's
But you still call Austin home despite the heat.
man, Austin has got it. I'm telling you, there's something special about
Yeah.
it that you feel when you're here. I don't know how to describe it. People are so cool and they want to be cool when they're here. They want to retain that. I mean, my business is intertwined with the city in a lot of ways. My passion for all things Tesla and Elon are intertwined with the city. I love live music. Like, I can't wait. I've got tickets to the Foo Fighters, and that they're doing a private taping for ACL. And I've got me and a buddy are going. We're going to grab some dinner after this, and I'm going to see the Foo Fighters. And we get a half-hour early admission. I can get my beer, walk right to the stage, put my beer on the stage,
Wow.
and be as close as we are to Dave Grohl in a couple hours.
Wow.
Like, where does that happen? In
Right.
what other city does that happen? I have more live music than I can go to.
Yeah.
I saw Pearl Jam a couple weeks ago. I saw Sting. We were away last weekend. I gave Alanis Morissette taping tickets. Same thing to a friend of ours. Anyway, I'm old. I know you young people probably don't even know the artists I'm talking about, but I liked them. So there's all kinds of stuff. And Austin City Limits is fun. It's 100,000 people in a day mulling around these fields in our park. It's still a cool vibe.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun.
No, it was cool.
You're not going to see close-up music, but it's still a great music vibe.
No, but it was like, because I've been to a lot of concerts too, and everyone was like polite. There were like little kids there with their families. Crazy? It was like, what?
That tripped me out. The first one we went to was 2006.
Yeah.
And I'm like, our friend invited us. We came in, was it 6 or 7? One of those years. We came in to see Beck specifically. A friend of ours was working security, and he's like, oh, I'll get you guys in. And we went in and saw Beck, and the first thing I see is like a baby in a stroller with like the earmuff things to protect their ears. And I'm like, you would never see kids at a concert anywhere where I grew up in Southern California.
Right.
Like, you're barely want your wife or girlfriend. You know, like it's kind of sketchy. You're like kind of always looking out for the weirdos. Dude, this is the coolest, once again, it goes back to Austin is easy. Like, there's kids that like just hang out and walk around at 10 years old with their kids, plus adults, plus grandparents. Like, it's a very unique vibe, and it's just a kind of all-inclusive, like, everybody just hang out and have fun, and, you know, just try not to be a dick. That's basically the only rule you have here. Just be cool. Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's a unique place. Like, I love it. We've been here 15 years. I'm still not tired of it. And I love the growth. I mean, we're not the same. Everyone's like, oh, it's changed and blah, blah, blah. These are good things, and things are going to change. Like, yeah, it's changed. We didn't have Elon. I think that's a good thing. We didn't have headquarters for Oracle. I think that's a good thing. You know, we didn't have as many music festivals. I think that's a good thing. You know, we didn't have a comedy scene. Also good. Right? Like, where are these horrible, catastrophic, I got to get out of Austin? Like, I don't see it.
Right.
I think we're actually progressing at a pace, but, you know, we're bringing really interesting tech and great humans here.
And the traffic is, you know, a work in progress, but
it is. I mean, I'm hoping, Elon, if you're listening, please get the Boring Company in charge of a metro. That would be badass, because we've got nice limestone could support the nice tunnel system. If we had a metro, that would be amazing.
Right.
So that would be really cool.
Well, awesome. Well, that's our little update for you guys. And, you know, if you want to come to the Cybertruck event, again, we're still waiting on when that is, but there's events for you if you don't have a ticket.
Yep, that's it.
With you.
Yes, yeah.
And
we're hosting. Come hang out. It'll be fun. It's like, seriously, we're a party in a can. You guys should totally swing by. Like, come on out.
Come on over to Texas.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for joining us. I hope that you enjoyed this. And again, please try to join me tomorrow for this special report.
Surprise guest.
Very surprising guests. All right. Thank you, guys.